Hey friends, welcome back to Whiskey and Wit. I'm Whitney, and in today's video we are doing some more Dollar Tree DIYs, this time for Halloween, so stay tuned. What I love about these projects is that they are all neutral and they all go together. So if you create all of them, they will go together really well in vignettes. So first up is this really fun way to display this free printable I found on Pinterest via a clipboard. And this is so easy. I took some painter's tape, you could also use washi tape, and taped off the top here so that I could spray paint the hardware matte black. I just used this simple 97-cent spray paint. You see me use it all the time from Walmart. And I just went outside and gave it a few coats. Now, I should have probably taped it out a little farther than I did because I'm not the best spray painter. I get a little bit all over the place. However, this turned out just fine for what I wanted to do. But in the future, I will probably tape a little better. Then I grabbed this printable. I just printed it out on regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I went through with my little slice cutter and cut off the edges just so then that way I could give it a matte look with that black. And that is it. It is so simple and easy. Anybody can do that. And I really think it's a fun way, kind of a frame alternative. Up next is this little Sleepy Hollow Dead and Breakfast bat sign. And this is made up of a Dollar Tree house and those little wedding signs that I've been loving crafting with. So step one is to pop apart your house. Just give it a little bit of oomph. It will come apart and get rid of any of that little extra paper. It usually peels right off. You're also going to want to make sure you remove any of those little bits left over on your house before you paint it. And I took them both outside and spray painted them black with the same paint from the last project. While those were drying outside, I decided to cover the back of my house with some scrapbook paper. I picked this up for $1 for a bunch of sheets at the Target dollar spot, but you could use whatever you have on hand. I traced and cut, and as you notice, it's a little short for this house, so I went through, hooked this down, and then I ended up using another piece just to kind of match it up so it looked like one full piece. If you're using a full size of scrapbook paper, you won't have to worry about this, but because I was using that little dollar pack from Target, I had to kind of match it up. But because the print was so distinct here, I was able to do that pretty easily, and then I just trimmed off the excess. Now, speaking of that pad from Target, it came with these fun little stencils. So I used some black cardstock that I just had on hand and traced two little bat shapes. And the reason for two is so I had a front and a back when I put my fishing line in between so it hangs up. So once those were cut out, I grabbed my fishing line. Alex is an avid fisherman, so we just had this at our house. You could use floss as well if you really wanted to. I just like the fishing line because it was clear, added a little bit of Mod Podge, and it was all set to be hung. Now the final step before assembling the sign was to add this cute little decal. I just made it in Cricut Design Space. I grabbed a picture of a bat and put Sleepy Hollow Dead and Breakfast versus Bed and Breakfast. I thought that was a cute little touch. I saw it on a lot of cute signs on Pinterest and I wanted to try it out. Then all I had to do was assemble my sign with some hot glue. I put the back on and then I added my little Sleepy Hollow sign with some hot glue. And then the last step was to add some glue to the top little ceiling portion of the house and stick the fishing line to that and then go ahead and cut off any excess. I absolutely love how this turns out. Finn likes when I hit the little bat and it moves in the sign, so I like that it kind of gave it that 3D element. And I really like how this cute little decal turned out, so I will have to figure out where to put this in my house. This next project, literally anyone can do it. It's probably the easiest thing I've done in a long time. I found this white skull at Dollar Tree. It's way too shiny and I wanted it black. So again, with the matte black spray paint, went through, gave this skull 2 coats of that matte black, and it looks way better. goes so much better with this grouping of decor. And finally, I think this is my favorite of all the projects in this video, and it is this cute little spiderweb sign. I made two different variations with black and natural tones, and honestly, especially with tying the little knots, this could be a fun thing if you've got some younger kids that are looking for a craft. So they started with these canvases I had at my house. I've had these on hand for a while. They didn't make it to a wall, so I decided to repurpose them. So I did my trick with both my screwdriver and my pliers to remove all the staples on the back and basically do a reverse canvas action here to pop out that middle section, because the square is the kind of look that I was going for. Really, any Dollar Tree canvas-based sign would work for this. So then for one, I left it just as is, but then the other one I painted it black with some Waverly chalk paint, and then it was time to assemble once everything was dry. So the one I'm showing you is with jute twine. The other one was made with just some yarn that I picked up at Walmart. But it was thinner yarn, so it didn't have that like fuzzy hair texture to it. So then I just took my staple gun. This is from Michael's. It's super cheap. I will link it down below. And I went through and did some kind of crisscross lines. So then that way I had the base of my spider web. Now the goal is to get the middle of your pieces not to necessarily overlap, but pretty close, so that you can bring them together to be the center of your web. I ended up using 5 different pieces of jute twine, but you can use as much or as little as you want to get your desired look. So then this looks a little backwards, but I wanted to give you a tip. I did this last, and I would say do it first. Take a piece of jute twine, an extra piece, and tie all the pieces together in the center, and then do your knots on the outside. It just made life a lot easier when I went to do the black one. So once that center was tied together, as you can see here, stuff is all willy-nilly, but I went through around the outside and just made a quick knot, and by tying it like this, it also helped because then you could slide it up and down the other piece of jute twine if you needed to. But I went around and did it with the jute twine twice, so there were 2 circles, I guess not really circles, but shapes around the outside of the web, and then I ended up doing 3 for the black yarn one. I like that they look like natural spider webs because they don't all look the same. They're kind of like snowflakes. Probably if you're using this particular sign, I wouldn't do more than 4 so it doesn't look too crowded. Once you're all done, just trim off any excess, and here you go. I think these turned out so adorable. I am looking forward to styling these on a shelf, using them for some depth and some Halloween spooky feel without being overly Halloween. I like that it kind of is a farmhouse take on Halloween. And again, like I said at the beginning, I just love that all 4 of these projects will go together when it is time to decorate for Halloween. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video inspired you to recreate 1 or more of these projects. Let me know your favorites down in the comments, and be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't done so already so you don't miss a future Whiskey and Whit video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!